Good morning, everyone. Please settle in. Our service is about to begin. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the South Jersey Shore, a welcoming and inclusive faith community. We'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking a chance and joining us. My name is Michael Clough, and you might have seen me speak just a couple of weeks ago. And I'm your worship associate this morning. I'm a member of this congregation and currently serve it in a number of ways, from sound crew to playing guitar to designing signs, all kinds of stuff. Our service today is led by guest speaker, Reverend Theresa Soto, and hopefully we were having some technical difficulties earlier, and I think hopefully we'll be fine here. Reverend Theresa is the lead minister at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. They are a 2016 graduate of Meadville Lombard Theological School and have spent time in careers in education and law as a family attorney. They have a small white dog with brown ears and like to read Inspector Gamache books. We'll post video of this service on our website and our Facebook page later today. If you're using social media to post your reactions to the service, please use the hashtag UUCSJS. If you would like to let us know of your joys and concerns, you can use the Zoom app. All you have to do is type them into the chat box area on your screen. Just look for the chat icon at either the top or the bottom of the app, click it and leave a comment and see what others have said. Please remember that this video will be on the internet, so don't share anything that might make yourself go viral. Welcome to worship.
We may not all agree how this world came to be. By grand design, coincidence, a big bang, or 7 days. But we bask in its beauty. We know it sustains us, so we're called to protect our earth always. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately. We may not know for sure all that's right or is wrong, without the book of answers, all in stone from God above. But we rise up for justice, compassion for all, and we'll let our first lesson be love. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately. We may not know if God is a wish or is real, if life beyond this life awaits evermore or here again. But we learn from past wisdom, from scholars and saints, and we live the best lives that we can. And we know what we do matters, bring meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected with minds that question how and why. With open hearts and open hands, we rise together. And we know what we do matters, bringing meaning to this mystery. For like ripples on a pond, our actions carry far beyond us. We're connected, connected intricately.
Welcome into this place of healing. Welcome into this place of challenge and of growth. Welcome into this place of imperfection and aspiration. You are whole in your brokenness. You are holy in your shame. You are wholly loved as you are. I like this chalice that my daughter made back when she was an RE student. Black American writer James Baldwin urges that the earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. The sea does not cease to grind down rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because we are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light fails, lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold each other, the moment we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us and the light goes out. With this deep knowing and aspiration, we light this chalice to illuminate the way for one another.
Good morning, my friends. Our gathering song today is We Give Thanks. If this is a morning when you don't feel particularly thankful, I encourage you to sing or think through the words with us. In a recent article from Health Beat, the Harvard Medical School newsletter, I found these words. Gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. We Give Thanks is one of my favorite hymns, and expressing gratitude, especially singing gratitude, always makes me feel better. I often wished it was longer. It seems to be over just as I'm getting that gratitude vibe. When composer Wendy Luella Parkins was asked to create a second verse for her hymn, she responded with this. We give thanks for the old and young, for a time of wonder, joy, and fun, for all we give as we grow and live. We give thanks for the old and young. Almost sounds like it could use even a third verse. Anybody? Let's join Paul Utz singing We Give Thanks.
grow and live. Oh, we give thanks for the old and young.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Theresa Soto, and I am really excited to be with you here this morning. Today, one of the things we'll be talking about is how to stick together and not split apart from each other or get rid of each other. So, one of the stories today is about what happens when we don't listen closely to one another. And I'm really excited for you to see it. This is a story about the time Blue Key didn't listen. There once was a man named Blue Key. One day, Blue Key thought, well, what I can do is chop firewood and sell it to people to make money. I already have a little stack, but I should cut more. Blue Key climbed a tree. He figured he could sit on a nice thick branch and chop the branches closest to him. It would be easy that way. So he chopped and he chopped and he chopped. As Blue Key was busy chopping, a mysterious traveler came by. "Good afternoon, sir," he said to Blue Key. "I see you are busy chopping high up in that tree. Take care you do not chop the branch you are sitting on, or you will fall." Blue Key wiped his brow. "Thanks for the advice, sir." The stranger kept going steadily into the distance as Blue Key watched. Blue Key was getting hot and tired. The sun was shining on his arms, shoulders, face, and it was just really hot outside. What did that stranger know anyway? The branch he was sitting on would bring a good price. And so he chopped and chopped and chopped. And just like that, the branch gave way and Blue Key fell out of the tree. Blue Key blinked and looked around. Just like the traveler said, he fell out of the tree. The traveler must be a prophet. Where is he? Where is he? Blue Key caught up with the traveler a little way down the road. "Come on, you must tell me. You're a prophet. When will I die? How will I die?" Blue Key asked the traveler. The traveler rolled his eyes. He didn't know how Blue Key would die. He didn't know what to say, but he wanted Blue Key to stop asking him strange questions. He looked around. There was a donkey. "Well, sir, you will die when the donkey brays 3 times. I must be going. Goodbye." And with that, the traveler disappeared. Blue Key got to thinking. He had to do something to keep the donkey from braying 3 times. Blue Key thought of giving the donkey an apple. "Here you go, buddy." "Okay, all right. Maybe not an apple. Maybe a banana?" "Well, bananas didn't work. Maybe some nice leafy greens." "Hey, donkey, do you want some nice leafy greens?" When the donkey cried out for the third time, Blue Key fell over. He kept his eyes closed and kept very still. I think this is what dead people do, he said. But then his neighbors came by. Oh, poor Blue Key, they said. We'd better take him home. Along the road, Blue Key saw they were going the wrong way. No, take a left here. The men screamed because they thought Blue Key was a ghost. Ah! And they ran away. Blue Key lay there for a few minutes, his eyes closed, his body very still. And then his stomach started to rumble. Oh, he said, maybe I'm not dead, 'cause I'm really hungry. And Blue Key went home and ate a nice big plate of rice and beans. And that's what happened the day that Blue Key didn't listen.
Thank you. And thank you, Blue Key, for not dying on us. This next musical interlude is your last chance to give us your joys and sorrows. Again, just use the chat icon in your Zoom app, either the top or bottom of the app, depending on what device you're using. Just click it and type. After the music, I will read what you offer to share with everyone. Just remember that the entire service will be posted to the internet for all eternity, so please don't share details that you wouldn't want your manager or the New York Times to see. Separated as we are by distance, we are joined this morning in spirit, brought together to seek comfort and encouragement, and to share those things in our lives that bring us joy or cause us sorrow. I will now read aloud for all listening what you would share. And I also have to open the chat window, which just disappeared on me. Hello, chat window. Julie is grateful for the comfort and safety of my home. Prayers for those whose homes are threatened by fire, loss of income, or racism. Sean says that joy that my grandmother is doing much better. Diane says that Michaela is grateful for her new baby sister, Rory. Melissa says, joy and concern that my son Colin and Paul and Helen's sister and brother-in-law are safe after evacuating from the LNU lightning complex fire in Northern California. That's a terrible story out there. Grateful to see my fellow from William Apes. Grateful to see my fellow seminarian in the virtual pulpit today, visiting from Charleston, South Carolina. And from Jess, our friend Serena celebrated her 4th birthday at CHOP with a kidney infection. We hope she will be better soon. Marcia, glad my sister and brother-in-law are back home in California. From Steve McGahee, Tara has a concern that a few days ago her favorite chicken got killed by a raccoon. Judy reports that she's grateful for the Democratic National Convention. And Steve says that Yvette is grateful to connect with all of you again. And I have a combined joy and concern. We dropped Grace at her college last Sunday. She was so eager to go start a semester again, and at least her small school has a good social distancing plan, so I hope she'll stay safe. So Reverend Soto will now lead us in the spirit of prayer.
Will you join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation? We come to this moment holding multiple truths at once. The truth that our lives have challenges, but also gifts. We find the gifts of connection, of care, and of open-ended possibility in the shared life of the congregation. We are grateful for the people we love in many constellations of relationship. We are grateful for those who give their love to us. We are grateful for the beauty we find all around us, both in nature and in the faces of both beloved and strangers. We are grateful for ministry in this community and for all the forms it takes. We lift our hearts in praise to tenacity and innovation, the tools that carry us forward through these pandemic times. We pause now to breathe in and breathe out, not deeply, but evenly, to feel our breath in our bodies, holding these gifts, sharing these burdens. We imagine futures in which we live full and joyful lives after the pandemic. For all these things, we give thanks. We leave room for care and for grief, and we say, Amen.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
We now take a moment to give and receive the morning offering. That looks and feels a little different when we are separated by distance. Rather than placing a check or cash in the basket, I ask you to consider a generosity practice of sending a check to our P.O. box or arranging a regular payment be sent through your bank. You can also use the donate button on our website to make a contribution. Each Unitarian Universalist congregation is self-supporting, and your financial support is essential since 80% of our income to support all that we do comes from the contributions of our members and friends. We hope you can make a contribution at whatever level you can, and remind you that no matter how those gifts are offered, they are always most gratefully received.
And for our reflection in Words and Silence, we have Change by Joy Harjo, adapted. Change rides in on many speeds. Lightning speed, and we change worlds of perception overnight. We can suddenly lose everything or gain what we have always hoped and dreamed. Some changes take centuries to reveal themselves. Islands of trash plastic float in the seas where trash has been dumped for centuries. We will experience more powerful storms and more widespread earthquakes from years of cumulative large and small transgressions of disrespect. Death is the most obvious change, as is birth. The wisest teachers remind us not to get too hung up on judging any shift. We keep our hearts open no matter what happens, and act with integrity, even when we are in the most chaotic of shifts, as we are now here in this country, here on our beloved planet Earth, which is us. Some rides are sweet and exhilarating. Some are rough and challenge us to keep heart. Right now, we are in the midst of cross waves of change, what we used to call when paddling out in the ocean in our outrigger's washing machine. To move through, you align your sight with a place on the horizon and keep moving. The ocean teaches what conditions are always changing. We need to remember to give blessing to those who take on this journey with us. There is that newborn traveler in each of us, and we still carry the words that born us. We each brought something from the spiritual realms to give back. We are each an unfolding story. Say kind words to the newborn and their parents. They need the nourishment of kind words, as they will make the path lighter. Do what you can to help. A newborn is tender and feels everything, many, many times the intensity as we older, more shielded humans do. For an infant, every day, even every moment, is a transformative change. Whatever you say, especially in the family field, matters and will make a difference in the life of everyone. Keep your eyes on the horizon of kindness, no matter the transformative waves of change.
Let's begin with another couple smooth breaths. And then I'd like to share with you an epitaph from Adrienne Marie Brown. Epitaph, epigraph, the thing at the beginning of a chapter. It's a gift when someone speaks their truth, and you can see where they can grow and move in with love. It's a gift when you speak your own truth and others move in with love to show you where you can grow. Don't forget that we learn to move by falling down 1,000,000 times. Don't forget you were taught most of the things you know now, believe, and teach others. Don't dispose of each other. Turn and face the conversations we still need to have. Change and be changed. The town of Centralia, Pennsylvania had a messy problem. Their garbage. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, makeshift dumps were popping up around town. But when the garbage began to spill into the graveyard, people began complaining to the city. The city had a great idea. There was an abandoned strip mine in town. Why not use that as the official dump? For a while, that worked okay. People had the sense that they were throwing their garbage away. Then one tiny thing happened that changed everything, and not for the better. On May 27, 1962, someone lit a match and set the garbage in the strip mine on fire. Unfortunately, that garbage was sitting on a seam of coal. The coal underground caught fire. Of course, people tried to put the fire out. They tried to dig it out. They tried to pour sand in, but nothing worked. The fire is still burning in an underground coal mine at a depth of up to 300 feet over an 8-mile stretch of 3,700 acres. At its current rate, it could continue to burn for over 250 years. Cool, weird, scary. What does it have to do with our practice of Unitarian Universalism? Centralia, Pennsylvania had 1,000 residents, but now the town is full of toxic fumes, carbon monoxide, and sinkholes. In 1992, the governor took the land to be owned by the government. There are 7 people still living there, but when they leave, the town will be empty. In an attempt to throw their garbage away, the people of Centralia destroyed their community by the way they tried to deal with their garbage. What they didn't know was that there's no such place as a way. I was born on April 30th, 1972, in a small hospital in Belgium where my parents were stationed on an army base. That day, I weighed 2 pounds and 14 ounces. The doctors told my parents that I was going to die and that they would make arrangements. After 12 hours, the doctor said that maybe I wouldn't die, but I was going to be what they called back then a vegetable. And also, I would probably never walk or talk or be potty trained. After 12 more hours, the doctor said that I would probably be severely intellectually disabled and might someday be able to work in sheltered employment. My mother says that I taught myself to read when I was 3, beginning with headlines and stories from the newspaper. Eventually, I became a teacher of languages, English and Spanish. I would become a lawyer, learning stories of law and applying words and ideas to complex problems. But all of that became true with my parents' certainty that imperfection didn't make me disposable. After visiting doctors and specialists, my parents received the news that I have cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy happens when the brain cells responsible for muscle control and movement either fail to develop appropriately or die as a result of injury, like lack of oxygen during the birth process. it can be a stable condition. Thankfully, I do have a life and a body that provide me opportunities to move through the world, not as someone who is sad about what isn't possible, but rather as someone who is curious about what else is possible. And while cerebral palsy has presented challenges in my life, it has also left room for asking important questions. Who is a person possessing inherent worth and dignity? How do we live into the fact that there is no such place as a way? People occasionally ask me what led me to become a minister. This is one of the elements of my mission in life, to proclaim and affirm that everybody, and indeed every body, has built-in value and is a vessel for honor and respect. Attitudes toward people who are different than society expects have only changed slowly over time. In the early 20th century, progressives, including Unitarians, were enthusiastic about eugenics. The idea that society should be improved by selecting only desirable, we're going to put that in air quotes for sure, people to reproduce. Unitarian clergy inspected prospective couples for marriage to make sure they were normal, physically and mentally, whatever that meant to them at the time. The renowned Unitarian activist named John Haynes Holmes encouraged his fellow ministers in Liberal Ministers Association of New York to perform nothing but healthy marriages for the conservation of the normal family, so that in the interest of improving society, defectives did not propagate. Haynes Holmes was using his philosophical perspective to justify disposing of people. Haynes Holmes wrote, "Nothing is more important to my mind in our modern treatment of the question of marriage than to use our powers of social control to prevent many people from marrying, those namely whose marriage, for one reason or another, can be nothing but a tragedy." Let's consider the reasons to challenge those beliefs. For starters, it is essential for me to be clear and precise with you about this exact thing. My body is not a tragedy. Bodies like mine are not defective. Disabled bodies and what we might consider average bodies are examples of some of the infinite ways to be human. We must identify and incorporate this in order to move toward equity and justice. An ethic of indispensability, the practice of treating each person in community as essential, asks us to be authentic and to do fearless self-inventory. We must do more than notice the mistakes and emphasize the differences of others. Part of our work is to confront the ways that we participate in the various systems of oppression that we are trying to dismantle. This includes all the ways we leave people out, leave people behind, and cut them off. We are accountable for barriers to community precisely because there is no such place as a way. During World War II, German troops invaded the island of Crete and overpowered and killed the resistance. One day, a 6-year-old boy found the wreckage of a German motorcycle. The mirror was broken into many pieces. He spent hours trying to put them together, but he couldn't. He saved the largest one and smoothed it on a rock. He was fascinated by reflections and loved shining light into shaded corners. That boy, Alexander Papaderos, grew up to be a teacher of peace. One day at a lecture, someone asked him, "What is the meaning of life?" He took that old smooth circular mirror out of his wallet and answered, "I'm a fragment of a mirror whose design and shape I do not know. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the unlit places of the world, into the clouded places in human hearts, and change some things in some people." Can we do the same? Shine light into our own hearts first. Do reflection and make correction. Using the light, taking action when you know something is wrong is important. The clear knowledge that we are people in development gives us more compassion for other people when they behave badly. What are the ways we may be leaving people out, leaving them behind, or cutting them off in any given moment? What might we do to act in a different way and bring them back in? The people in our communities who don't keep covenant and break their promises cannot be managed simply by punitive action or by withholding connection and support. Rather, we must say no to actions that harm community, or no to the actions but not the people. There is no such place as a way for them either. We have had in our communities to decide how to respond to the issue of hate. One obvious example is acting Nazi and neo-Nazi mobilization. Being a neo-Nazi is not a belief acceptable within the practice of pluralism because it is destructive, targeting specific people for harm because of their skin color, ethnicity, or religion, and other intrinsic aspects of identity, like queerness and disability. We are the ones responsible for holding steady the good boundaries that care for and strengthen our communities. We must form faithful responses that allow for health and well-being of every person by putting a stop to harmful behavior. What about after? How do we reckon with people doing harm and making amends? We are often on this precipice. A relationship, once damaged, can either be transformed or discarded. When we discard relationships, we discard people. In the Christian scripture, there is a story of a son. His father had money, and the son said, "I want what's coming to me." Although it wasn't clear if the son would have had any inheritance, the father was willing to share with him. And you know the story. The son goes away, suffers poverty, decides, "I could go home and try. Maybe we can work it out." The son journeyed home and started his speech about having done wrong and not being worthy. But the father wasn't listening. Instead, calling to the servants, "Quick, bring a clean set of clothes and dress him. Put the family ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Then get a grain-fed heifer, the best we have. We are going to feast. We are going to have a wonderful time. My son has returned. We gave him up for lost, and now he is found." How relieved and happy the person and the community who can exercise their love by welcoming someone back. The dad's joy was palpable and irrepressible. Gift, a celebration complete with a barbecue. Let that joy and welcome back remind you that you, the people around you, all are meant for love. Even if you can't be proud of all of your choices, you, your community, are still meant for love. People don't have to be perfect to be awesome or to be loved. In fact, it turns out that things aren't going to end up perfect if you try harder. But instead, we must keep strengthening our integrity. The process won't be perfect, and that's okay. According to Reverend Nancy McDonald Bland in her book, After the Good News, underneath the will to mutuality, there's a will to perfection, a will to be personally justified, a will to be effective, and in the end, through all of our carefully calibrated strategies, a will to win the game that was never meant to be a game at all. Winning isn't always possible, but transformation is. Our communities must imagine new levels of connectedness in which we are clear that every person, as they are, is valuable. in which we preserve connection and human dignity, even when we have to say no to bad behavior, and yet to remaking promises to one another when we break them. Our hope for the present and future lies specifically in our ability to move forward together. Henri Giroux explains that Paulo Freire, the liberation educator, conceived of hope as a practice of witnessing, an act of moral imagination that encourages people to be at the edge of society and to think beyond existing configurations of power. In order to imagine the unthinkable, in terms of how they might live with dignity, justice, and freedom. We are invited right now to the edge to imagine the most dignity, justice, and freedom your life and your community can hold. Remember that we are moving toward a clear hope, bringing as many folks with us as possible. According to Giroux, it is a notion of hope grounded in a celebration of human agency and a full-scale attack on the fear of freedom. That's you, grounded in your community. There is no way for you or anyone else as we engage this vibrant hope. You have a blessing to bring to the world. Bring it imperfectly, but bring it now. Let it be so. Let us be the ones who make it so.
Thank you, Reverend Theresa, for a moving message and for showing us how our UU principles inspire us to be mindful of ableism and how to counter it. In closing, let us consider words attributed to King Solomon. It's better to have a partner than go it alone. Share the work, share the wealth. And if one falls down, the other helps. But if there's no one to help, tough. Two in a bed warm each other. Alone you shiver all night. By yourself, you're unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A three-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. We go our separate ways and give and receive promises to stay together, to move forward, and to trust that we are better together than alone. Let's read the words together for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, please enjoy our musical postlude. And now, announcements. Reverend Dawn is back in the office and available for pastoral care appointments Wednesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can also reach out to our volunteer pastoral care team for support. Reverend Dawn will return to our virtual pulpit in September. We need your pictures of water. We will have our annual water ceremony on September 13th. And with services on Zoom, it will certainly be a different experience. We don't recommend pouring water you've collected on your computer or phone. So instead, we're making a slideshow with photos you provide us, photos of water from your personal collection. The background music will be played by Barbara Miller and perhaps some of our other musicians. Perhaps because we would like to include photos from everyone, please send 1 to 3 photos at most, your favorites. And please send those photos to Reverend Dawn by September 1st. As the pandemic wears on, it gets more and more challenging for us to connect with each other. We yearn for meaningful connection, for stimulating exchanges, for challenging growth of both mind and spirit. With that in mind, Reverend Fortune is implementing some new programming for the fall. First, the small group ministry will meet monthly. If you're interested in participating or in leading a small group, please reach out to Reverend Dawn. And Adult RE is back. 2 classes for adults will be offered in September and October. Bible study for UUs and other skeptics. And this, I believe, exploring and claiming your own theology. Watch the midweek announcements for more information. Meanwhile, the worship team, and this is important, is updating its list of volunteers, and we're welcoming fresh faces to our virtual services. So we're looking for 2 things in particular: people to serve, do what I'm doing right now, serving as worship associates. And trust me, there's a script and all kinds of good stuff. It's a really fun job. Also, people to lead worship by offering a sermon or message about 15 minutes in length. So contact Deb Dagavarian if you're interested. So please take the opportunity to keep virtually connected. And now you'll see a graphic on your screen, and I'll go through some of those pretty quickly. Obviously, you know about this one. Sunday worship is on Zoom at 10 a.m. Thursday, Common Arts for DIY Hearts at 7 p.m. And all makers and all ages are welcome. Other regular events, still singing on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of each month at 6:45. So join Barbara and the choir for warm-up vocalizations and singing. It sounds like I need a warm-up vocalization here. All are welcome. Family fun game night. Fun. 2nd and 4th Fridays of each month at 7. Spend some time just hanging out and playing games and having fun together. The Buddha Sangha, evenings on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Tuesdays at 6:30, and the last Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. And the Heartfulness Meditation, Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:25, Thursdays at 7:25, Saturdays at 7. If you need to schedule or reschedule a meeting or event, please reach out to the admin at uucsjsadmin@gmail.com. So we warmly welcome all of you who are visiting us today. Please stay and socialize in our online social time so that we can get to know each other better. But now let us share into a moment of silent reflection to consider today's message and the meaning it has in our lives.